So want to just hit you with one point, just to always like to leave one point that if you don't remember anything else, and it's kind of been all over the place already, so you probably won't remember anything else besides this, but for success on Medium, just remember this, that if you don't remember anything else, you need to pick a niche and ruthlessly stick to it. And the example that I always use for this, because it's hard, a lot of times we want to write on a bunch of things. So the example I always use is this, is that if tomorrow J.K. Rowling wrote an article, J.K. Rowling, author of Harry Potter books, of course, wrote an article on how riding unicycles will save the world from self-destruction, something crazy, right? Millions of people would read it, millions would share it, millions would comment on it probably, but the only reason that they would is because first, she was good at one thing, right? She was great at writing Harry Potter books. Same with Arnold Schwarzenegger. If he wrote the same article, millions of people would read it, millions would share it, but at first he was great at lifting weights and putting them back down. So just remember that if you want success on Medium, you really need to pick a niche and ruthlessly stick to it at first. And we're going to switch to the next slide here. So, all right, we're going to dive into the steps. So step one for Medium is to pick a niche. And again, if you want business results, you're going to need a niche. And this is something that really should take more than 5 minutes. This should be something that you spend as much time as a business plan, right? Just planning out, whiteboard it, brainstorm it. And the way that you can boil it down into one statement, a really simplistic statement, is this. It should be able to be summarized in, I want to become the go-to person on XYZ on Medium. And like, for instance, mine is, I want to become the go-to person on social media marketing on Medium. One of my friends wants to become the go-to person on mindfulness on Medium. Another one on self-help on Medium. The list goes on and on. So just use that statement to really boil down what your niche is going to be, and you'll find it much easier. And it'll make the decision binary. It'll make it like, am I getting closer to this goal or am I not? So first, you'll want to conduct some research on Medium. You know, figure out if your niche is saturated or not, right? Let's say you want to be the go-to self-help person on Medium. Well, that's one of the most saturated niches on all of Medium, right? But what you can do is, of course, niche down. You can be the go-to person on self-help for millennials on Medium, for divorced parents on Medium, and just figure out what you want to do. And if it's not saturated, awesome, go for it. If it is, just simply niche down, and you'll be on your way. So step one is pick a niche. Step two, we're going to switch to the next slide here, is select a frequency. So what's great about Medium, again, what I had said earlier, is it really is a low touch point channel. So really, you can just select a frequency that fits your lifestyle, you know. And what I always say, best practice is bare minimum, at least be posting an article once per month. I think you can get away with it once per month as long as the article is really, really thorough and awesome. But I usually say anywhere from once a week to twice a week to once every 3 weeks. But whatever you pick, just treat it as law. No matter what the frequency is, treat it as law, and that way your readers will be able to establish that cadence with you, and everyone will win in that regard. So step one, pick a niche. Step two, select a frequency, easy. And then the next one is time for ideation. So here's some little tips on how to generate ideas of top stories, or at least what tend to be top stories on Medium. So one is simply see what's missing from Medium. You know, what Medium is growing, it's becoming like thousands and thousands and thousands of articles are written on it every day, right? But it's still a community. So there's a good chance that not all topics that are trending in your industry will even have been published or talked about yet on Medium, right? So follow Google Trends, set up your Google alerts, read TechCrunch or whatever your biggest publications are on Medium, and see if something's missing from the conversation. And a good example of this is, to date, still the second most read and shared article that I've written so far came from doing exactly this. So I saw that Medium had actually announced that they were rolling out a subscription model on, and I saw this on TechCrunch. 2 days went by, and I saw that no one had published anything about it yet, not a peep on Medium. And I'm like, how the hell does something news this big, no one's talked about it yet? So I went to my favorite cafe. This was when I was still in Oakland. I spent 2 hours busting the article out, and I published it. And it went as near viral as a Medium article, I guess, for me at least, can go. And today it's still my second most widely shared article. So that's just seeing something that's missing from the conversation and capitalizing on it. And then next is provide a counter argument. You know, like really there's groupthink on Medium. I guess there's no other way to say it. There's consensus on certain topics. See if there's a consensus on a certain issue, no matter what that is, and really think critically. Think, do I agree with this premise or do I not? And a good example of this is John Westenberg, who is, I think, the top, or maybe like top 3 like Medium articles ever, or Medium writers ever, excuse me. He just is awesome. And he wrote an article once in response to the culture that we see of like, I get up at 5 a.m. every day. I crack open a raw egg. I do 1,000 push-ups. I say hi to my kids and all this crazy stuff, right? Just really unrelatable, like inhuman stuff, right? And he wrote an article in response to that saying, this is what I do before 8 a.m. And keep in mind, this guy's a very successful entrepreneur, and he was just talking about how it's hard for him to wake up some days. He doesn't do his push-ups all the time. He sometimes sleeps until 10:30, and it went nuts. It's still like one of the most read Medium articles of all time, and it was just made by providing that counter argument. And then a third little tactic is kind of an easier one, right? It's just thoroughly answer the questions you get asked all the time. Whether you're a consultant, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a professor, whether you're a manager, we all have questions in our industry that are related to our industry that we get asked all the time, and chances are that there's thousands of people out there that want the same question answered, right? So just thoroughly answer those questions, publish it, and chances are there'll be a lot of people that can benefit from that outside the immediate people that you interact with. Cool. So step 1, pick a niche. Step 2, select a frequency. Step 3, make some good ideas up. And step 4, let's switch to the next slide, is make it look pretty. So this is something that, as a writer, it was hard for me to come to terms with for a while, but Medium really is a skimming platform as opposed to a reading platform. And what I mean by this is people are busy, right? They're just skimming through. So you want to make no one's going to read every single word, right? At least 99% of people aren't going to read every single word. So make the main points stand out. Take advantage of the features that Medium has, the quotes, the different text sizes, the italics, the embedded the content, the different subtitles and all that. Take advantage of that to make your article look as appealing as it possibly can. And then also for stock photography, I usually recommend these 2 sites, although there are a lot on Medium, a lot of people use these sites, so you'll want to check, like, is this a photo that has been used a lot? But for your header image, no corny stock photography. That's a big rule, big no-no. But Pexels.com and Unsplash.com are 2 services that provide really high-quality stock photography completely free of charge, no watermarks. So If you don't have a photographer on staff on your own, or you're not good at taking pictures on your own, just use that. That's what I use. I'm not really a photo guy, and it'll look great. And then next is just kind of along these lines of headline writing. So of course your headline is going to, I'm sure we all know it as content marketers, but if you're not subscribed yet to Copy Blogger and Copy Hackers, I would definitely subscribe to them and just look at their articles and content that they've written about headline writing, and you'll be an expert within minutes. So, not minutes, but you know what I mean. Great. So, step 1, pick a niche. Step 2, select a frequency. Step 3, make up some great ideas. Step 4, make it look pretty. And then next, we're going to hit on another point. So, first point was, if you don't remember anything from this talk, throughout everything, if you don't remember anything, you want to pick a niche and ruthlessly stick to it. But next, I want you to remember this. I want you to know that unless you're Barack Obama, Bono, Oprah, the president, anything, you have to get on a publication to get the most out of Medium. And for those who don't know, a publication is more or less like, think of Medium as the newsstand, and the different magazines, different newspapers, all of that are the publications. So if you look at the articles I write, I'll publish on The Mission. That's the publication that I usually write for, but it'll be on Medium. So in order to get the most out of Medium, you really need to get on a publication, simply because it's leveraging the audience. Otherwise, you're just throwing your content out into the abyss, which why wouldn't you just do that on your own blog, right? One of the main advantages of Medium is that you can take advantage of that built-in audience. And if you're not doing that, then you're not getting the most out of the platform. So this is one of the few points, just with clients and readers and just friends, that I always say is one of the non-negotiables. So next logical question for the next slide is, well, Dakota, how do I get on a publication? And we're going to cover that. So step 5 is get on a publication. And the most easy way to do this at first is just go to the home page of your favorite publication, and there's a search bar in the upper right. Just type in submission guidelines, and usually most of the publications will have published a piece on how to submit to their publication, step-by-step rules on what they do for it. So do that, and if you don't have a favorite publication either, there's also a cool little service called Top Pub. I have the URL here, toppub.xyz, that has a real-time leaderboard of the top publications with links to it. So feel free to give that a look if you're not too familiar with the publications yet. But the thing is that doesn't always work, right? Some publications haven't published their submission guidelines. Some public editors don't get back to you, blah, blah, blah. So next thing I always recommend is dig up either the personal Twitter handle or the email address of the editors of that publication that you're trying to get on. And we're all marketers here. We can do our research, right? So just try and find that email address, and then this is important, send them a link to your completed article. So just keep in mind that editors, most of these editors for publications aren't really getting that much money, right? They're doing this in their free time, so they're busy, right? They get tons and tons of submissions a day, so don't even waste your time sending them a pitch or an idea, right, that you're going to write an article about it. Show them what you got, right? So send them a link to your completed article either through Twitter, through the email, through DM on Instagram, anything like that, anything you can do to get that attention, but always send them a link to your completed article. And then also, this is kind of self-explanatory, but I've had to put this in because of a client I had a while back, but be persistent but not creepy, right? So don't comment on the wedding photos of the editor on Instagram that you're trying to reach, right? Use discretion here. So be persistent but not creepy. And then also this last point here is kind of to alleviate a problem that arises quite frequently. So a lot of times people will be trying to get on a publication, their favorite publication. So they send them a link to the article and no response. And the thing about Medium is an article can only exist on one publication at a time. It can only exist in one place. So the worry of the really valid worry of people is, okay, they do that, they don't get a response, they send it to their second option, they publish it, their first option gets back and says, we'd love to publish it, right? So you got a situation there, and it's happened just numerous times, and it's a sticky situation to be in. So what I always say is to alleviate this is give the editor a deadline. Like, be nice about it. Just say, hey, I would love to be a part of your publication, be considered for it. Please let me know by XYZ date. Otherwise, I will be pursuing other options. So just give them a soft deadline, and all will be well. Great. So next, let's see here. Yeah, next slide here, we'll just be covering some more best practices on Medium. So those are the 5 steps. We can go over them again, but I think I've repeated them enough. But a couple more best practices. So once you get the ball rolling on Medium, once you start publishing articles, once you get on a publication of your choice, like all that, you're rolling, right? So here are some things that you can do to take advantage of the platform and become a top writer on Medium. So first is this, and this is something that I learned the hard way. I can't tell you how many, probably thousands of emails I missed out on because I didn't start doing this until last March, but include a freebie at the bottom of all your articles. And this is kind of what I was saying earlier, is like, if you write an article on how to run a marathon, or you write an article, sorry, on how to run a marathon, at the bottom include a runner's checklist doc that people can download in exchange for an email address. And this will just be a really seamless way to capture those emails. Mine is the 7 mindset shifts cheat sheet. That'll also be, it's on the last slide of this presentation too, but little simple thing, and it'll really capture the attention and just capitalize on your most engaged audience. So don't forget that. Please, please, please don't miss out on any emails. Again, don't build a house on rented land. I want you guys to collect all the emails you can. So please do that. Awesome. And next is a breath of fresh air for, I'm sure, all content creators, but you'll want to republish past content, or you can republish past content. I'm giving you permission to. And this is awesome. We all have blog posts that are collecting dust, right? We all have essays that we wrote in college that we thought were so good, right? And they're still collecting dust on the shelf. We all have content that could just be reinvigorated, right? So republish it, copy paste that stuff, and just put it on Medium. There's no one stopping you. For me, I usually write one original Medium article that's just completely original to Medium a month now, but every other article I write has been published on Ink. I just copy paste it and put a link to the bottom of it. So as long as you put a link to the original piece at the bottom to capitalize on your most engaged readers and audience and everything, you'll be just fine. But I'm sure that's like everyone has a blog post that they can just put on tomorrow if they wanted to. So that's another thing. And then third is, like I said earlier, Medium, you don't need to publish super frequently, right? It can be once every couple of weeks, once every 3 weeks. But if you want to solidify your brand on a near daily basis, here's a little trick that I've learned and has helped me and some of my friends, is 1 to 3 times per week, leave a really detailed, thoughtful comment on a trending article in your niche. So Medium is kind of like Reddit. The top comments, like most upvoted, most clapped comments will rise to the top, and you can put tags in your comments. So you can gain traction in your niche simply by commenting. So have a goal of, no matter what your niche is, to be that face on the top comment of every article that's trending in your niche. And you'll just slowly be solidifying your brand, even when you're not publishing articles. So this is something you can do just casually or before bed or whenever, and you don't have to be writing detailed all the time. And next is even more best practices. Whoa. All right, so this one is on your stats tab. Once you start publishing Medium posts, this is a little later on down the road for folks, but once you start publishing articles, go to your stats tab and there'll be a little button called refers. And if you go into that, you'll actually be able to see where the traffic from your article is coming from. And what's great is you can use this as a networking tool. If you see that a podcast in Malaysia like shared your stuff, like reach out to them, say thanks, like what can I do for you? You know what I mean? So this is a great place to see where your traffic's coming from so you can optimize, but also a good place to connect and network with people that have shared your content. And then a final little tip here is something that I think is completely underutilized just from what I've seen as a top writer and what my other friends have seen who are like top writers as well, is take advantage of private notes. And what's cool is for those unfamiliar, on Medium you can either comment, which is public, or you can leave a private note, which is you see and then the author sees, and then the editor of the publication can see it, but pretty much it's just you and the writer. And what's great is it's directly into the inbox of the writer. So little secret, I've never not responded to a private note, and I'm sure other writers are the same. So you get pinged and ask for notes on your work. Ask for, like, if you can do a favor on them, ask for a share, ask for, again, notes on the work, tips, tricks. Use it as a networking tool to get in the inbox of top writers, no matter what. So take advantage of private notes, and that's something that everyone can do. And then next, kind of wrapping up here, is, again, if you remember anything, just remember to pick a niche, ruthlessly stick to it, and just keep going. And something too that I wanted to just touch on is, again, we as content marketers, as digital marketers, as social media marketers, we don't know when a platform is going to die off, right? We don't. And what I want people to get is that Medium is more so a platform just to show what you can do, right? So don't focus on the claps just yet. Don't focus on the shares just yet. Use it as leverage and validation to reach out to that blog that you've always wanted to. If an editor of a blog sees that you've written 20 Medium posts on a topic, that at least shows that you have an interest, that you're a diehard fan of that topic. That shows what you can do, right? So don't focus too much on the metrics yet, but take advantage of Medium right now. Right now, Medium, as I said earlier, is at the sweet spot between an established platform and an emerging platform. We know it's going to be around for at least 5 more years. There's enough funding for it. We know that it's not going anywhere, but there's still so much opportunity on it. And if you use this blueprint on this presentation, you really are able to establish yourself as the go-to person on nearly any authority that you choose to. So just wanted to hone in on that, to not really be caught up in the beginning on the numbers. Awesome. And then next is just I wanted to thank you guys. My apologies for the technical difficulties on my end and everything. Yeah, my apologies for that. Things are crazy down here. I just moved down here, just full transparency. So still getting used to my apartment, all that stuff. So my apologies for that. And then connect with me on Medium and LinkedIn at Dakota Shane. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. I'd love to connect with you guys because I can't really see you guys right now. So I want to at least have that rapport with you guys. And then I'll be happy to share this PDF with you guys, or Dennis can. I sent him over the presentation. But I also included a list of helpful resources that you guys can take away with you as well, that either I've written or other people have written that I think are really, really great on how to just use Medium to achieve any and all of your business goals. So again, thank you guys, and we can start the Q&A now. Thank you.
All right, can you hear me, Dakota?
I can, yeah.
Okay. Is the echo better?
It's not, but I'll just keep going. We'll keep it moving.
Okay. All right, well, that was very valuable for me, so thank you for the presentation. I'm going to check the room. Does anyone want to ask a question? Okay, I'm going to bring the phone over.
Awesome.
Oh, I really appreciate it. That was an awesome presentation. So when you're first starting out with publications, do you suggest starting with smaller and going wider by reaching out to select few small ones within your niche? Or would you say right away to start leveraging this and going after bigger ones? Or both?
I would honestly say both. Sorry, I'm going to put this away from my face real quick. 1 second. Thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it in the question. So I would say have a two-pronged attack. You know, writers can be contributors to multiple publications, which is great. So I would go for the big dogs, honestly. I would, it's all a machine, right? So there are tons of new writers that I see, even on the Mission, which is like one of, I think, third largest right now. I see new faces all the time. But don't let it discourage you, and use that link that I sent here, the tophub.xyz, and just try for the smaller publications. Try for the medium publication or medium-sized publications on Medium too. So I would say both in my long-winded answer, but also keep track on that leaderboard. And if there's one that's popping off real quick that you see an opportunity, get in quick, establish that relationship with that editor, and it'll take you far.
Another one over here. Okay, another one coming up, Dakota.
Awesome.
Hi there. Thank you. You're being such a good sport as a presenter. I think we all really appreciate it.
No, thank you guys. You guys are the best for that. Don't think I'm bad.
Okay. Well, my name is Amy, and I've published a few things on Medium. I have this puzzle question, and I'm wondering, I would like to take the pieces that I've published and perhaps, pitch them to Huffington Post and Guardian, New York Times, etc. Does something posted on Medium count as a publication? How do you negotiate when they say no, the piece cannot be published anywhere else? I'm curious about that.
Regarding the Huffington Post and New York Times saying stuff like that, or the publication on Medium?
Let me try to explain. So, I've sent some of my stuff out, and it's been rejected. And so, what I would like to do is put these pieces on Medium and still pitch them to, national publications. Would those articles then be considered already published because I originally posted them on Medium? Can I pitch those to other publications once they're posted on Medium?
Okay, great. Yeah, no, awesome question. I know it is might be a cop-out answer, just as a disclaimer that it might be a case-by-case thing. But yeah. I would say go for it. Keep pitching. If anything, you can always expand upon it. Just from personal experience, a lot of my articles on Inc. were from my past posts on the mission and also on, what was the other one? Oh, marketers and growth hackers. So all I did was just expand a little bit on those ideas, and I pitched them, and Inc. was totally cool with that. On the reverse end, Medium publications are usually totally cool with vice versa, right, with the other way around. But yeah, I would say go for it. Worst case, you could, again, expand or break it up into different pieces and kind of tweak it around. But I would definitely just keep pitching it. If anything, it'll be validation, right? The way that I got the attention of the literary agent that I'm trying to get a book deal right now, and the way I used it was just a Medium article that I had written a long time ago and just showing that proofing, that social proofing. So if anything, I'm sure the Huffington Post, New York Times, everything will say, wow, X amount of people clapped for it or commented on it, or this is what they had to say. So I would say go for it.
Hi, nice job. This is Chris. I have a question. So you may have said this at the beginning, but I wanted to know the structural reason why Medium is taking off. And is it the case that people are searching inside of Medium by keywords for topics that makes it more valuable than putting it on an SEO strong blog or something that is owned media as opposed to borrowed media?
So I definitely, first of all, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. And this one is, I mean, the value here is just that built-in audience and the awareness, honestly. It does kind of stink that they completely take away the SEO, right? They completely take away your domain authority, all that. It belongs to Medium. But what you get in return is that built-in audience, that 65 million engaged monthly readers getting your content. And you can always put that link at the bottom of your posts to capitalize on your most engaged readers. So to answer your other question of are people searching within Medium, honestly, Medium as a company internally kind of keeps data under the rug. They're still not allowing any tracking pixels. They still haven't announced their growth this year and all that stuff. They kind of keep things under the rug. But I will say that Medium is a community just based on the members only. The members only content is doing terrific and all that. So my guess would be that yes, I know as a personal user, I always just search within Medium as opposed to stumbling on a Medium article on Google. But I'm sure it can vary across the board. But yeah, in exchange, the short answer is the value is just that awareness and that built-in audience.
Okay, thanks. And just follow up, the 64 million members, they're not seeing my article if I publish on Medium. This is an analogy to the Facebook news feed, right, where they ratchet down the percentage of your followers that actually sees your posts. So what's the mechanism? If I publish an article as a brand new author that is, 3 paragraphs, what percentage of 64 million people will ever see it? Would it depend only on keyword searches actively, or is there some other mechanism that brings them there?
So, just full transparency, I'm not 100% how. It's kind of like EdgeRank, like there's theories, but things are under the rug again. To answer your question, it is an engagement-based algorithm, so it would depend on like how many people clapped for it, which is one of the reasons they switched from recommend to claps, allowing users to clap multiple times for articles they liked a little better, deserved more than one recommend. So it depends on a lot of stuff. But as a new author, like you said, this is kind of why I said get on a publication, just because really the only huge advantage that Medium has is that built-in audience, right? Like people like me, people like my friend Jessica, who just got a book deal and everything. We didn't have blogs before Medium, and because we were able to get on those publications, that's where the eyeballs came about, right? And then you can just keep building and building on that. But the biggest thing is to get on a publication or to at least befriend top writers so they can clap for your content or have a support network, all that kind of stuff, just to build that awareness up and take advantage of that community on Medium.
Great. That answers the question. So it's the publication and the claps that are the key ingredients.
Yes, definitely. Sorry, long-winded answer again.
Are the publications that you're talking about here something that's part of Medium, or are these a separate entity like Inc. magazine that isn't part of Medium?
Mm-hmm. No, great question, and it's kind of confusing, and it gets even more confusing as I'll answer the question. But most of the publications are independent, but there are some publications that are directly affiliated with Medium, just because for whatever reason they wanted to rebrand a certain way, or like Medium Ideas or Medium Marketing, stuff like that, you know. But most of them are independently operated. I know the Mission is operated by not really friend, but I guess acquaintance, hopefully friend, I would say Chad Grills. He just runs it out of an office and everything. So these are independent publications using Medium as the medium, for lack of better words.
No, I actually don't know what you mean by that. What does a publication using Medium as the medium mean?
So I guess the analogy would be Medium is more so the search engine. It's the newsstand, all of that, and people, it's like a YouTube channel. Maybe that's a better analogy. So if I started a YouTube channel, I'm using YouTube as the platform, but I have my own YouTube channel. What's different with the publications is I could have other creators contribute to my YouTube channel or Medium publication. Does that make sense?
I guess so.
Sorry.
So anybody can start a publication.
Yeah, but Inc. is a paper
Inc.
magazine, though. I mean,
yeah, but I'm not sure if they're on Medium, but they can come in and create their own publication on Medium. They're still using the Medium platform.
Oh.
So a lot of publications now have a presence on Medium, but you as an individual can start your own publication.
So does Inc. have a presence on Medium?
I don't know.
Inc. does. They actually just started, but it's a relatively new thing.
Yeah. So it is very much like YouTube channel. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect segue. Speaking of the publications on Medium, when you're starting one, I'm beginning a channel for my company, and I wanted to know if you had any advice in the way of preferences for design layout. Are there ones that are more optimal? I was perusing Hacker Noon, and it's just the UI doesn't look nice to me. Like I wouldn't have the neon green. I think it just stares you in the face too much. But I was just wondering if you have any design layout tips for publication.
No, great question. I wish my brother was here. He's more the design guy. I'm the writer. He's the designer. So honestly, I'm not super well suited to answer that. But I mean, I agree. Hacker News isn't that easy on the eyes. Also, the Mission, as great as their content is, it's not the greatest layout. Trying to think of Startup Grind. I would look at Startup Grind. I mean, the red, whatever consumer psychology emotion that triggers, it looks pretty to me. But to answer your question, I'm not 100%, so I apologize.
No, you're totally fine. And then I have a second question, sorry. But do you have any tips for the tags that you use when you're tagging an article?
Mm-hmm. So for me, I always kind of like for Instagram marketing, people always say you'll want to attack some main tags, some higher traffic tags, but also so you can have a maximum of 5 tags on Medium, right? So for me, because I'm a top writer on social media and business, no matter what I put out, I'll put those 2 tags on there. Unless it's completely unrelated, then that would be spammy. But always have those 2 tags, those high traffic tags, and then I like to tack on a little more low traffic tags just to get some scraping up some traffic, you know. But I usually have 2 really high traffic tags, and then say 1 medium tag, and then 2 lower traffic tags.
Cool. Thank you so much.
All right, we have time for one more question. Any last call? Okay. Anyone last? Okay. I'll go with the one in the chat. So Dakota, this is from Emily in the chat, and it's related to an earlier one. It reads, does Google penalize your site for duplicate content when you import a story to Medium, or are there any legal concerns when you republish content that's run in other publications like Inc.?
Okay, great. So does Google penalize your site for duplicate content? I haven't run in with anything that has been a concern with SEO, but something that I learned just by writing for Inc. One thing that I've learned writing for Inc. is just to make sure and switch up your headline. That's something that they always do is, for instance, they'll let me have republish anywhere, right? But I have to use a different headline, and I guess that as I'm not a super well-versed SEO guy, just to be honest, that's another guy on my team. But I know that switching up the headline helps with that SEO. So to answer your question, I think Google will penalize you, but if you switch up your headline, it'll penalize you less.
So we have an SEO expert in the room. Rosemary, do you want to comment on this question?
So I'll just add a couple comments there. So Google doesn't really have a penalty for duplicate content. We're talking about content that is not intentionally meant to deceive Google. So ordinary content like this kind of content is not going to be penalized in any way by Google. And changing the titles isn't really going to make any difference unless one title is better than the other.
Got it. Really well, perfect. There we go. I learned something.
So here's what you can do, though. If it's posted on your site first or one site first, make sure before you post it on another site that it's indexed in Google. And the way to do that is just to type in info : and the URL to see if it's in the index. And it usually happens really fast. A blog post go in within hours.
Wow, great. Okay, I'm writing that down.
Thanks, Rosemary.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and with that, I think we're going to let you go. I think no need to apologize. I think a lot of the logistical issues today were on my end, so I apologize to you for that. But I thank you for joining us. This was really useful, and I think, as you saw from the questions, there's a lot of interest here in Medium. So thanks again.
Awesome. No, thank you, Dennis, and thank you for all the questions. And feel free to either message me on Medium or email, and I'd be happy to follow up with any other answers I can provide.
All right. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too, guys. All right, bye.
Bye.